good morning everyone. I wanted to just take a couple minutes and talk to you about some activities and strategies that you can use in your homes to do some cutting this week. Young children love cutting, and sometimes it's as easy as just putting out some paper and scissors and letting them explore with them. Parents can sometimes be a little bit reluctant about cutting. I know as a mom, my kids cut a lot of things that I didn't necessarily want them to cut. And so my advice is just to keep those scissors up high, make it a little challenging to get to. And then kids, remember, only cut things that your family say are okay to cut. Make sure it's okay before you cut it, okay? There are a few stages that we see as children start cutting. Before they're able to use scissors, a great activity is just tearing paper. This uses a lot of those fine motor skills in their fingers, so even just tearing, that's great. For children that can't physically manipulate scissors for whatever reason, if they have, cerebral palsy or Down syndrome or something like that and just physically can't do it, you can find a lot of great adaptive scissors on Amazon that just use that palm, and these, when you push them down, they pop right back up all by themselves. One thing that you'll see when children very first start cutting is they'll try to use this two-hand approach. So parents, just don't be afraid to hand over hand, just help show them how 2 or 3 fingers go in the bottom and their top finger, their thumb goes in the top there. And another common thing you'll see is they'll flip their hand over. One thing I've found that helps with that is you can draw a smiley face on that thumb. And when you're cutting, you've always got to see that smiley face because the thumb goes on top. And there's a little chant, it goes like this: open, shut, that's the way we cut, cut, cut. So that might be a little bit helpful as well. When children first start cutting, you're going to see snipping. And snipping is just when they're just making cuts in the paper. And there are a lot of materials that you probably have at your house that are really great when you first start cutting. For example, straws are really fun for snipping. They go flying right off when you cut them. So that is super fun. Another thing is yarn. Yarn's great for snipping. It's a little bit harder than straws, but yarn is great. Another thing is tinfoil. Tinfoil is a lot easier to cut than paper. It's super easy. And then once your child is getting a little bit more advanced with the cutting, you can draw a line across the paper and see if they can stay on the line when they're cutting. Curvy lines and diagonal lines are more challenging, so as they get more advanced, you can try drawing some different types of lines for them to try to stay on. One thing that you probably have a ton of at your house that's great for cutting is junk mail. You could save some of your junk mail for kids just to practice cutting with. Old magazines are great. A couple activities that are fun to try: if you have any plastic toys at your house, you can trap the animal in the paper. So all I did was take strips of paper and I just wrapped it around the animal and trapped him. I just used a piece of tape to keep the paper on there. And then your child can free the animal by cutting the paper off. So this could be a dinosaur, a mermaid, a unicorn, whatever is fun. Probably not a stuffed animal because they might get cut. Another thing, my favorite thing, is collages. I just took things in my home that I was allowed to cut and I just glued them on a paper plate. You can also glue them on a piece of paper, things like that. I used my yarn. Here's my straws. I found a penguin in a magazine. I like penguins, so I put that on there. I found a red-tailed hawk. I thought that was fun. I cut some triangles out with some red paper. I just glued them on. Oh, and I even used the tinfoil. You can see that there. So there's some ideas. I hope that helps you guys, and happy cutting.